We're back.
We're here again.
So the interesting sort of development out there. We saw this. Well, you saw this video.
I saw it.
Start it off.
So I just saw an interesting post on Facebook. It was actually in a 335 group, oddly enough.
Okay.
Just in a forum, and a guy, he was kind of talking a little trash about one of the shops that we really like, which is Rumble Seat Music.
Correct. And now, if you don't know about Rumble Seat Music, it's a breathtaking store, amazing vintage piece, cultivated set, wonderful people that work there. It's
in Nashville.
So obviously we're coming off. We do know who they are. So
yeah, of course.
We're not trying to choose sides here. Like it seems like, but we know their shop. Their shop is unbelievable, and
they're great. Yes.
And part of their shop is very inspiring to ours too in some ways. Like the Aztec cloths and everything they have. I love that. We don't do that, but
no.
Anyway, continue.
So this guy, he is in a different country. He buys a vintage guitar from them. Apparently it takes a while to get it because of the lockdowns and such. So he finally gets it after he buys it. He's had it a month. He's trying to resell it on Reverb and, wherever. He's in the forums. And someone tells him, hey, your guitar is not all original. Like your tuners are reissues. And he apparently had asked that question in an email to Rumble Seat, and they said, no, yeah, it is all original. So now he's seen, in the forums, on the gear page, wherever, random places where they've said, no, not original. He's a little embarrassed because he's posted it, put it out there. And now he's calling Rumble Seat to say, hey, you guys were wrong. Now, mind you, again, it's a month after he's gotten the guitar. It's months and months after he's bought it, but it's 1 month after he's sort of taken possession, best we can figure. And he calls Rumble Seat and records it. He records them on the phone, puts up a video.
He did let them know he's recording it after the conversation.
After he started, yeah. After act right, because I'm recording this conversation. And we kind of found the whole thing fascinating.
It was fascinating, and that YouTube is like great customer service at Rumble Seat.
Yes.
Obviously, a sarcastic jab at it, and which I get it, man. Like I'd be sort of irritated too.
Sure,
I understand. So we're not like dissing this guy at all.
No,
and it's a weird conversation to listen to. It's but it's not like there's nothing shocking. Everyone's actually kind of nice on the conversation. I was like, it's pretty nice for the most part until the very end, and then like everybody's kind of a little bit irritated.
Right.
But it's a strange thing. So the whole reason this sort of spurred this conversation with what we wanted to talk about was like when you enter the vintage guitar buying market, you have to obviously tread very carefully.
Yes.
In particular, when you're an overseas buyer that is wanting to obviously buy this and resell this to make a profit.
Right.
Thus, you thought you were getting an amazing deal. You're going to sell it and turn that profit into more profit now.
Right.
And sell it in your market. Asia, this happens quite a bit too.
Yes.
But the vintage guitar market is tricky. It's filled with pitfalls, landmines, forgeries, pieces that have been fixed and repaired, and often in the shop, like they could have passed through Rumble Seat somehow they didn't notice it. Like, and
sure,
that is possible because these it looks original.
Right.
It does look 100% original. It doesn't look as old as it should have. But the replica pieces for the tuners that they build nowadays are insanely accurate. It's better than the originals.
Right.
I would rather have those on my guitar. We have a Les Paul Junior 58 for sale right now that has the original bridge with it. But when we first got it, it had a new bridge put on there. It snaps right in there. You know how that works. It's Les Paul. But it's better playing than the original. We put the original back on there for the selling of it because people want the original.
Yes.
We get that. So it's what is your responsibility as a seller and as a buyer?
Right.
We think it's a twofold thing. If you're entering the new guitar department world, it relies heavily on the seller. Like the guitar should be exactly as it is stated, and it should be in the used one as well. But let me get to that in a minute. Like on the new guitar, it's like Fender Stratocaster 2020, brand new. Here it comes. It should not be all scratched up and dinged up or anything. It should have the new case, all the COA, all the paperwork, and case candy done. Vintage guitar, whole tricky to.
And we checked that pretty often on our new guitars and found one just the other day that was scratched up, and we have to reprice it and things accordingly. So that happens.
Right, and sometimes they come from the factory screwed up.
Yeah, of
another
course.
story. But like if you, as you shop, we take these guitars apart pretty well when we get a vintage type of piece in. I'm not talking about just used pieces, vintage pieces.
Stuff,
we're talking sort of. I don't consider the '80s vintage yet at this point. Everyone's saying, but then '70s and sort of back.
Right.
And we get the 60s and 50s, it's like, you got the white gloves on when we're taking some of these apart. We really don't wear white gloves, but we treat them more gently.
Right.
So it's tricky, when we buy vintage guitars too, like, I will take the guitar apart on your coffee table if I drive to your house to make sure the pieces are correct. But these forgeries and these replicas are really accurate now. And it's only been a few times I come across and like, man, I don't think this is real. Like when I get there, I don't think Rumbleseat by any stretch was trying to pull the wool over their eyes.
No,
I think
it
was
all.
Just a mistake. And I don't think this guy's a bad dude either. I think he's just like, man,
I think he just jumped into it and maybe didn't quite have enough information to jump into like reselling vintage guitars at that level.
I know, and then listening to the conversation too is like funny because like he's a really charming dude. I think he's Irish, and I love every Irish person.
I mean, he sounds like he'd be fun to go hang out and have a drink with.
Yeah, well, we're not going to say his name. You can like get into it yourself.
Yeah.
It's there. But yeah, it's like I understand his situation too, and I think let's go back to like let's say this was us, and this has happened to us before.
Yes.
We have sold a vintage guitar before. I think it was an ES 175. I can't remember what year it was, but it was old.
Yeah.
It was right on that sort of cusp of like PAFs, non-PAFs. And
right.
we found out it didn't have the PAFs, and we listed it right there. But there was some parts, I think one of the bridge was not completely original. It was the replica, but it was exactly what it's supposed to be, but it was not original. The customer got it. I think we missed it somehow.
Yeah. Because people are human in these shops. We're human.
But we immediately refunded.
Yes.
Much more than that bridge was worth, just because I feel like that was on us.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong though, this was immediate upon his receipt of guitar.
Right. Like it went a month later or 2 months later.
And this guy knew his guitars
right
and he is a couple days later. And we have like, a 48-hour like sort of review thing, and we're very gratuitous and we go past that. Just like we want you to like the guitar you have. Yeah. But we made that right. And I think that's the shops can do that really easily. It's tricky when you're dealing with overseas.
Right.
We did have that one where we goofed up a little bit. It wasn't us. It was the customer in Italy bought a PRS from us, and he was very particular. Like we sent him some pictures, and he wanted the blue guitar, and apparently he got the guitar, and it was the wrong blue PRS, and he was like livid, and he's like, "You guys have cheated me. We didn't cheat you. It was a mistake, man. Like here's what we're gonna do to fix it for you, though." And we gave him like a huge rebate. You can send the guitar back. We'll send you the other one. You're gonna have to help with shipping on that because this was a. We want to make them happy.
That wasn't totally, yeah.
That was like, it was funny because I remember this happened at NAMM, like when we were at NAMM and I was sitting there and like, oh my God, I was seeing the messages. I was furious.
That's right.
I was so upset.
Like, you were.
It just made me sad because like, man, this guy was so cool on the internet. We never talked on the phone. It was through email because he's in Italy. But we want to make it right. So we gave him like a huge rebate on that one.
Yeah,
like, I think we ended up losing money, even though like, it was his fault, but we should have done a little bit better due diligence on confirming serial number with guitar he wanted.
Well, and we don't want anybody to be disappointed with the guitar they're getting and with an experience they have with us, right? We want them to come away happy and content and ecstatic that they have this awesome new guitar. So so we take that personally. And
that was a new guitar. So we get back to the vintage guitar world, and like when you're selling these vintage pieces, it's so hard to tell if everything's 100% original. It is so hard. There's we do it. Like we take them apart and we love it. That's like one of our joys is when the true vintage piece comes in. But as a buyer, if you're in this market which I think in this case you're clearly buying this guitar to sell to make a profit,
right?
And like that's fine. That's what guitar business is
for.
That.
Yep.
You need to do your homework a lot better as well too. You have to be not just an email. Hey, is this 100% original? Yes. And then like take that as gospel. Sometimes let me look at those. Can I see the innards of it maybe if I'm getting ready to spend $10,000?
And when you get it, inspect it right away. Make sure all the specs are right. Like do your homework. Know what the tuners are supposed to be like, and if they're if you're not sure about it, ask right away. Don't wait a month because someone on a forum pointed out to you, hey, that's not original.
And don't always trust the forums either.
God, no, yeah.
Because I've said some dumb stuff on forums and been completely wrong. And like we were watching some podcasts the other day. It's neat to watch some of these top podcasters in the world admit when they goof up.
Sure.
They do. There's people. Rumbleseat does not goof up that often, and they've been they're pretty well known and respected across the industry. Right. So it's tricky though when you put when it has been a month. It's hard because I'm trying to think if I bought a guitar from somewhere and let's say a month later, let's say I just don't like it, or I find hey, the tuner's popped off or something, like, I mean, we're going to help you, but
Sure.
at the same point, that's also a manufacturer thing.
Right.
But if it's a vintage piece, there's going to be all sorts of issues with it already.
Of course, that goes with having a vintage guitar.
I can't tell you how many times we've bought a vintage guitar and like it's working perfectly, and then literally the next day it's not working because like the solder joints are weak.
I mean, it's like
you go in there.
buying old cars. Like, it's awesome to have cool old like muscle cars,
Like
or something.
1993 Honda Civics.
Yeah. But you're good. Yeah, exactly. You're gonna work on them though,
That's
and that's
for you,
part
Z.
of the joy.
That's for you. One day you'll have that
Z.
93 Civic.
Oh, one day you will.
Low ride it a bit, man. Hot pink. That's what he likes.
Whew.
It's a weird kid. No, so it's
But that's part of the deal.
It's tricky. When you brought that story in this morning, it fascinated me. I was like, we have to talk about it. We looked into it a bit more.
Sure.
And it's a tricky area out there in the vintage guitar world. So just like, buyer beware. Also, seller, be on your top game. And like, if there's something as small as like the tuners, man, that was an easy fix. I would have just, if I was them, I would have fixed it.
Yeah.
Be like, all right, because he says on the phone, like, it's like $45. Like, here's $45. Are you cool? On like, if we're talking like, $10,000 guitar.
Right. Sure.
It's let's just make this cool. Like, I mean, that's just part of when you're in the guitar selling game. I mean, these guys are experts, so they know what they're doing more than we're idiots. I'm complete idiots. But we're all going out to dinner tonight. Christmas celebration dinner. I don't know,
right.
It has to be so much fun. So yeah.
Yeah. So we want to know what you guys think in the comments. How would you handle that? What's your experience been buying vintage guitars? Any great tips? Put them in the comments. We want to know. We will probably learn something from that as well. So that's the point.
No, seriously. Thanks for when you guys like add comments. Like if we don't directly respond to it, there's usually a reason there. But like because like I'm not allowed to look at the computer anymore. But we do read everything, and we love learning more.
Yes.
And it's fun to watch when like some of the people commenting have actually met each other and become like friends and e-met, and
cool.
then we've seen it happen. It's weird. It's like love connections of guitar nerds.
Like a little community.
No romance because it's pretty much all dudes.
Yeah.
Just talking about guitars and
That could be romance.
I mean, yeah,
Bromance
and romance. There, I stand corrected, but it's usually just nerds talking about guitars, so it's not that.
Oh.
Anyway, that's it.
So click like on this video. It really helps us out. If you have not subscribed, please consider doing so. Hit the bell so you don't miss videos in the future. We will talk to you guys soon. Thanks so much.